But what about vitamin D and calcium supplements? How can they contribute to calcification?
Right. Well, the calcium supplements, they had a big problem 20 years ago, I think, where they were giving a lot of calcium supplements and people actually had a higher rate of heart disease.
Hmm.
So the calcium, I would get it from natural whole real foods and not supplement excessively with calcium. So
Yeah.
there is some evidence that excessive calcium and being too low on magnesium to balance it and other minerals is a bad thing. Vitamin D also interacts with all these minerals and many processes in the body. So the ideal would be to get healthy vitamin D from healthy sun exposure or vitamin D rich foods, or even like a UV lamp. There are UV lamps available. And the UV on the skin does more than create vitamin D. It releases nitric oxide to keep your vascular health in great shape. It causes vasodilation,
Hmm.
which expands your vessels and helps with health. So ideally you'll get, vitamin D from sun and UV exposure without burning and get all the other benefits that come with that evolutionary process.
Yeah.
But that said, yeah, get your vitamin D, ideally from food or sun, if necessary from supplements. Don't really take calcium supplements unless you've got a specific issue identified by the doctor where you're low on calcium. And make sure you get magnesium. So from magnesium rich foods, or magnesium citrate can be bought in half-kilo bags and mixed with food, and the
Yeah.
whole family can get magnesium. It's estimated that 70% of modern people may be magnesium insufficient
Yeah.
because the foods have lowered in magnesium over the last century. So magnesium is an important one to keep in mind when we're talking calcium and vitamin D as well.
Yeah. Yeah, it's indeed most people are deficient of it, and yeah, there are also some other nutrients that also affect this. Like if you simply take calcium supplements, or if you eat more calcium-rich foods, then the calcium is simply gonna sit in your bloodstream for longer, and your body doesn't really know what to do with it. So there are some key new ingredients and nutrients for directing the calcium in the right place are things like vitamin K2 and the other fat-soluble vitamins. And yeah, you need to get like vitamin K2 as well if you take calcium. Otherwise, it's simply gonna your body really doesn't know what to do with it. And yeah, yeah, like regions where people eat a lot of calcium, they still have the highest rates of bone fractures and so on. So they're still like they're not getting the vitamin K2 and the other activators.
Exactly, and K2 is another important one, and vitamin A, as you say, the fat-soluble vitamins. So K2 you can get from cheeses and butters from animals that have eaten the fresh grass,
Yeah.
and you can get it from things like natto, the bean curd from Japan has huge rates of it, and supplements.
Yeah.
So yeah, you
Organ
need
meats, organ
balance.
meats as well.
Organ meats as well, actually, yeah, very good point. Organ meats are super healthy, especially when they're not overly cooked. They're absolutely full of nutrients. And cod liver oil is another place to get some of these fat-soluble vitamins and A and D and other elements. So I think balance is important, and ideally real food
Hmm.
rather than supplements,
Yeah.
I would target. But yeah, they all work synergistically and many more besides. So it's not as simple as just shoving calcium in, and you're absolutely right. It won't really help with bone.
Yeah.
Magnesium and vitamin D and others are also hugely important. A recent report in one of the medical journals called out that the rates of heart disease are increasing beyond our ability to tackle them. Evolution was never ready for the last 50 years of bad food. Most people are asymptomatic. They don't really feel anything or show symptoms.
Mm.
So you really don't know about this problem until you're dead. If you can do things to stop your score rising in the next few years, and that means you've stopped the inflammatory processes that drive calcium, then you can change your future and live probably as long as anyone else without disease.
Body mind empowerment.
Get stronger, faster, smarter, quicker, friendlier, more helpful, more driven.
Everything the body needs.
Control your mind.